interesting. When I got pregnant, it was just like instinctive. You got to get this thing right, because now this child is dependent on you. And so, with that being, that was my mindset. Something when I was little, I had determined that when I got older, I would get married and raise my family in the church. Now, I didn't really know what that looked like, because going to church and being committed to God's will is not necessarily the same thing. I had some good foundational pieces, but I didn't have real examples of what it meant to live for Christ. But I had always believed that that's what I was supposed to do. So when I found myself pregnant, my first thought was, you got to get this right. And so that's what I did. I happened to go to church with a friend, a coworker, and when I walked into that church, the pastor was speaking in a manner that was different from anything I'd ever heard. What he said was resonating with who I was. Like the word was more clear than it had ever been, and I just knew that this is where I was supposed to plant my flag.
Okay. So you are 17 and pregnant, 18 with the child. How old were you when you two met?
20, 21.
Something like that. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think 20.
you met her very shortly after she had that first child.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Most people that I know today would stay away from a woman who just had a child. Was her being a teenage mom with a kid, was that a hindrance for you? Even though you were, you're only 2 years older.
Yeah.
But was that something that was like, let me stay away from this? Was that a stumbling block? Or how did you deal with coming to be with a woman who had a child?
I definitely did not have a problem in regards to that. I met her just prior to her having her first child, or first son rather, and I had no thoughts. I had no thoughts whatsoever. And when we began to talk, it really was based upon what God said. And we had, you hear our story of when we began to get to know each other. For me, it was the words, I'm at home one day and God tells me, call Sister Sherelle and Markeith. And I've always taken note that he never said, call Sister Sherelle. He said, call Sister Sherelle and Markeith. And, I've kept that in my head and heart right there. And that, hey, if you're going to have one, you have to have the other. So, yeah. I've always had peace with it.
That is actually pretty awesome to always have peace with that. Because that's a big deal.
It's a real big deal.
It's a big deal.
But I want to go back because you asked if I had any apprehension or feelings. And actually I didn't. I had said a prayer and I said, God, I need you to work this out for me. If I'm going to have a husband, give me a husband now while my baby is a baby so that he can love him as his own. Or don't give me a husband until my baby is grown. Because I had seen where the stepson and the stepfather clashed, and it was really ugly, and I had seen it a few times, and that's not what I wanted for my child or for my husband. And so that was my prayer, and I wasn't necessarily looking for a husband. I put it out there, I left it with God, and that was the end of that. So I'm blessed in that when it comes to my children from the beginning, I've never been one who worries. If I give it to God,
He's got it.
He's got it.